Imagine this, it's 1 a.m. Outside a major city stands a massive building. From the outside, it might look like an ordinary warehouse. No soldiers, no tanks, and no missiles. But inside, thousands of servers are running at the same time. Lights are blinking, cooling fans are spinning, and inside those racks is stored something incredibly valuable. Emails, bank transactions, government records, social media data, and the digital lives of millions of people. This is a data center, and in today's world, these buildings are no longer just pieces of technology infrastructure. Many analysts say that in modern warfare they are becoming new strategic targets, because if you disrupt data centers, you're not just shutting down the internet, you're hitting the digital nervous system of an entire country. In simple terms, a data center is a facility where thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of servers operate together. These servers store and process websites, cloud services, banking systems, government databases, video streaming platforms, and the messaging apps. When you send a message on your phone or open an app like Instagram or make an online payment, your data is often processed through a data center somewhere in the world. In other words, almost every digital action in modern life depends on these facilities. That's why some experts call data centers the brain of the internet. Historically, wars followed a relatively clear pattern. Countries targeted, military bases, airports, bridges, and factories. The goal was simple: weaken the enemy's military and industrial capacity. But in the digital age, a new factor has entered the equation. Information, and information requires infrastructure to function. Servers, cloud networks, and fiber optic systems. That's why analysts increasingly warn that in future conflicts, technology infrastructure could become a primary target. Why would data centers become targets? The answer is simple: impact. If a missile destroys a single tank, the effect is limited. But if an attack disables a major national data center, the consequences could spread across an entire country. Imagine the scenario: internet outages, banking apps suddenly stop working, stock exchanges temporarily shut down, and government communication systems fail. In just a few moments, everyday life across a country could slow down dramatically. That's why modern military strategists increasingly view technology infrastructure as a strategic national asset. There are generally two main ways data centers can be targeted. First is cyber attacks. Hackers or state-backed cyber groups infiltrate networks. They may crash servers, disable systems, or leak sensitive data. The second method is physical attacks. This involves directly targeting the infrastructure itself. For example, power supply systems, cooling systems, and fiber optic connections. If a data center loses electricity or cooling, servers can overheat quickly, and the entire system may shut down. One important thing to understand is that the internet does not depend on a single location. It is a massive global network. Multiple data centers are connected to each other across continents. Major cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud operate server farms all around the world. This means if one location fails, services can sometimes shift to other regions. However, if a large-scale disruption occurs, the consequences could still be significant. That's why governments and technology companies invest heavily in redundancy systems. Modern banking is deeply dependent on digital infrastructure. Stock exchanges, online payments, ATM networks, all of them rely on servers and secure data networks. If a country's major financial data center suddenly goes offline, financial markets could temporarily freeze, transactions might be delayed, and public trust in the system could be shaken. That's why cybersecurity experts often describe financial infrastructure as a critical national asset. Data centers don't just run websites, they also power communication networks, messaging apps, video calls, and corporate communication platforms. If data centers are disrupted, internal systems within companies could fail. Government emergency communication channels could also slow down. And during wartime, reliable communication is essential. That's why protecting digital infrastructure has become a core part of national security planning. Military analysts increasingly say that modern conflicts are no longer limited to land, sea, and air. A new domain has emerged: the cyber and information domain. This means the battlefield is not only physical, it is also digital. Servers, networks, satellites, and data flows. If a country can disrupt these systems, it may pressure an opponent without even launching a traditional military attack. That's why many experts believe future wars will involve not only missiles, but also malware and cyber weapons. Because of these risks, governments and technology companies are investing heavily in security. Many data centers are built in highly secure locations. They often include multiple backup power systems, advanced fire suppression technology, physical security layers, and constantly updated cybersecurity defenses. Some facilities are even designed like underground bunkers to reduce the risk of physical attacks. If you look at history, every era has its own strategic targets. In the industrial age, Factories and railways were critical. During the Cold War, nuclear bases and missile silos became central. And in the digital age, information infrastructure plays a central role. Data centers are no longer just technology buildings. They have become the backbone of modern civilization. Today, when we open apps on our phones, make online payments, or store files in the cloud, we rarely think about the massive infrastructure behind these simple actions. But in the world of geopolitics, that infrastructure has become a strategic asset. And if future conflicts escalate, the battlefield may not exist only in cities or along borders. It may also exist inside server rooms and data networks, because modern wars are not fought only for territory. Sometimes they fight for control over data and connectivity. Drop your comments on what you think about this, and is there any way to stop all this?